In this episode of Kids Podcast, I am honored to share wisdom with you about leading kids in your church and in your home. Dealing with kids is hard work, and I'm praying that we add some tools to your tool belt today. So let's dive into today's topic.
Welcome to another episode of Kids Podcast. I'm Ron Gale, your podcast host today, and today we're talking about budgeting. Yep, budgeting. Like, how do I ask for a budget? What do I do with the budget? What percentages go where? It's my first time doing this. I don't know what's going on. So we're talking about that today, and it's a big deal. And so let's dive in as we learn where is the money. But to be very clear, we're not talking about fundraising. We have a whole episode on that. I have a co-host with that particular episode, and you can find that in the archive. And we're not really talking too much about spending it, where to spend it, all that jazz. We'll just highlight it real quick. We're specifically talking about the process of budgeting. I'm not a CPA or a certified practicing accountant. But I am someone who is qualified to be a CFO. I have done that before. I've been that guy that assigned really big checks for expensive buildings because of classes I've took in order to understand financial intelligence. That was a fun job for a hot minute. But now that I'm in ministry, after 20 plus years of doing it, doing budgets is pretty easy for me now. So let's walk through what the steps are. We're going to walk through different ways of garnering a budget and a little bit about, we're just going to highlight the percentages there, right? So there are different ways that you could exercise a budget. And a budget's nothing more than saying, hey, this is what's coming in. What is going out? It'd be a lot like your mom giving you $10 and saying, hey, don't spend it all in one place, but keep track of where you're spending it. That's exactly what budgeting is. Different people might define that in different ways, but that's how I look at it, especially when I'm talking to those that are novice with accounting. What's coming in and what's coming out, and how are you documenting it? Because that's important, to not cook the books. And to understand what is in your books, and understanding what your book is going to look like at the end of the year. We're going to talk a little bit more about different types of budgets to help you understand the value of a budget. So one type of budget you might get is no budget. Yeah, I know a lot of you are like, I'm a kids pastor, I'm a youth pastor, I'm a young person, I'm a coach who, we don't get budgets. What are you talking about? So that's a reality. And your budget is essentially a wash of everything you get. And wash is another way of saying what goes in is going to go out. So let's say you're planning a trip to the ice cream store and your mom says, go make your own money and go get some ice cream. So you go out, find some soda cans, you go and trade them in, and the soda can people give you $5. All right, that is your budget. Your budget is $5. So then you go to the ice cream store and you spend it, all $5, all on ice cream. There it is. You have a receipt. It's documented, and you put it away. And then a year from now, when it's time to report, your report says $5 it came in, $5 went out. Here's the proof. There you go. You have now budgeted for a no budget budget. The second kind of budget you might be working with is an ask and receive budget. This means that you don't have a budget, official one, but you go to the boss and you're like, hey, we have this thing over here. Can we get some money to do it? And he's like, how much you want? And you're like, can I have $10? And he's like, here you go, $10. So now you use your $10 to get the thing that you wanted, and bada bing, bada boom, it's there. You received 10 from the boss man. You spent 10 on the thing you wanted, and now you have a receipt, and now it's documented to a year later on the line item that says 10 and 10, and now you're balanced, right? So then the third way is to get an actual approved budget. And that's where you go to the board or your supervisor or whoever's in charge of accounting, and you say, hey, can I get an approved budget? And they might say, yes, here is this amount, or yes, how much do you want? Or they might even say no. But the idea is that the people in charge upstairs are like, here is $10 for the whole year. This is your budget that we give to you. So now you have $10 for the entire year. This is my favorite way. I do not enjoy the first option where I have no budget because it requires a lot of fundraising. I hate fundraisers. And if you want to learn more about fundraising, I have a whole episode on the F word, right? It's in the archive. And I don't really enjoy asking and receiving method because you're asking a lot. And sooner or later, they're going to say no. A lot of your leadership decisions are going to be based on this idea of, I want this and I want that, but as opposed to leading with vision. And I'm huge on leading with vision. If you listen to any of my other episodes, I'm all like for leading with vision. So as you come into this idea of getting a proper budget from the board or from the accounting department, it is all about vision because they're going to give you $10 for the entire year. Now you have a $10 valued vision. You can start throwing things down on paper. You can start painting a picture for yourself. You can start imagining a future that is worth $10. And you don't even really have to say it's worth $10. But the idea of a budget is that you now get a vision of what you could do. Because if you're savvy, and if you're wise, and if you know how to use your money wisely, although you have $10 to work with, you could actually turn that into $20, $30, $40, $50. And that's a real deal. That's a thing. And if you do that, now your vision is worth $20, $30, $40, $50. But the point is that this third way is simply getting a board-approved budget. And that's what you want. So let's say it's your time to get a board-approved budget, and you got to submit for a board-approved budget. Because sometimes the board's like, here's $10 to work with. And other times they're like, hey, give us what you're asking for, and we'll let you know how much you can have. Right? And that's what we want to talk about today. Because a lot of you are like, hey, my boss man wants me to submit a budget for approval for next year, but I don't know how to do that. Oh, no. So let's walk through that together. A whole walkthrough. Now, if your boss is a nice guy, he's going to give you like a week or 3 just to write this out. If he's giving you a 24-hour notice, that's rough. You're going to be spending the whole night thinking through this. If you do it every year, I just pull from last year and add a little bit more. Or sometimes I don't even change it at all. But you're going to spend time mapping out what you want. So what I do is I get an Excel sheet or whatever, and I map out everything that I'm going to spend money on. That includes the staff that I am responsible for. That includes all the prerequisites that each classroom requires, such as background checks. We require that, such as safety devices and the electrical walls. Anything that is required to have, I put that in there. Then there's things that we want to have, like we want extra Bibles, we want toys, we want this, we want that. I'm writing it all down and then begin plugging in numbers. This is how much this particular thing is going to cost, and this is how much I think I'm going to spend on it. I also include things that are going to be a wash, such as the big camping trip or the big retreat or the registrations for VBS, everything that I think I'm going to spend money on. I put it in here. And last but not least, I have a category specifically for dreaming big. Like, I want easy risers. I want a closet. I want to remodel the stage. I want these things that I don't need, but if we get surplus at the end of the year, I'm going to spend money on that. Um, yes. I mean, everything you can think of. And there's no point in me telling you what you should think of because your context is going to be completely different than mine. You might even be a mom or a dad and you're trying to come up with a family budget. The point is you have to sit down and map out everything you could be spending and will be spending money on. What's going to come in and versus what's going to go out, and having a way to document that. So then I have this Excel sheet, and it's broken down to item A, item B, item C. Now let's say I did this in the past. I would have a second column. If I did it 2 years ago, I have a third column. If I did it 3 years ago, it doesn't matter to me anymore. But you can have a fourth column if you want. But this is your first year, you want at least one column, all right? So you have all your items, item 1, item 2, item 3, all the way down to every single item that you think you're going to spend money on. Then in item 1, you're going to write down in column 1, which is this year. This year, I want to spend this much, $1. Item 2, I want to spend $1. Item 3, $1. These are all examples. There's probably going to be more than $1. If you have a second column, I would do like last year. Last year, I budgeted for this much. Last year, I spent 50 cents. But I'm pretty sure we spent more than that, so I'm gonna adjust column 1. I used column 2 and column 3, which is those 2 years ago, to help me decide what I'm going to ask for this year. Yeah. So bottom line is you need all these items that you're going to spend money on, and then give it a number. Plan every cent. Yes, every cent. Plan every dollar, every cent. No penny is unplanned for. All right. And then at the very, very, very bottom, you're going to get a big number. It's a big Excel sheet, big math. And let's just say for today, you come down to the bottom and it comes out to be $10. Don't you guys like that I'm using like really easy numbers? I love The Office, and he's like, say you have a lemonade stand, right? And you get $10. It's exactly the same scenario. You are writing your budget and you've got $10. You're not going to ask for $10. No, not going to do that. Here's what you're going to do. You're going to slide your Excel sheet over, and you're going to make like a whole new column. This is like a hidden column just for you. Maybe even a whole different tab, right? You're going to multiply your big number by 100. All right, so now $10 equals $1,000. Then divide by 80. So now your $10, which is $1,000, now comes down to $12.50. Yep, that's the number you're going to aim for. Aim for. Yes, aim for. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit more. Doesn't matter. You can go 13, you can go 14, you can go 15. I won't go too much more, like saying you want $20 when you only need 10. That's probably too much. They'll just laugh at you. But let's say for the sake of argument, I'm going to add 25% more. It's probably going to be right around $13 and $14, right? So I'm going to go to the board and say, I want to spend $14 this year. Can I have $14? And they're going to be like, what are you going to spend it on? Well, it's a good thing you asked because I have these line items. I am not going to show them the numbers. I'm only going to show them the line items. This technique works in almost every genre of jobs. When you do construction, when you do my brain just went dead. When you do job proposals and submissions and RFPs and those kinds of things, you're not telling everyone numbers because, one, they don't care. Two, it kind of locks you into those numbers. It shows them that, hey, I've thought through this. There's a plan for this, and this thing has value. So you're just showing them line items. You're not showing them actual numbers. If they ask, like, hey, how much is it going to cost to get new pencils? You can say, like, hey, it's going to cost approximately $5, right? How much is this going to cost? This is going to cost approximately $1. They might even ask, how are you going to pay for this retreat? Well, it's easy. I'm going to make the kids pay for it through registration. That's going to be a wash. It's going to pay for itself. So they're going to begin to see, like, oh, so you've thought through this. You're going to need pencils. You're going to need this $1 item. And that particular thing is actually a wash. So we're not going to stress over that $1,000 thing. But it is there. We're going to spend money on it. And by the end of the year, it's going to be a $10 expense on the entire department. They might say, man, that's still heavy. We can't handle $14, but we can give you $9. And then you can maybe come back and say, oh, how about 11? And they might come back and land on 10. It's a whole negotiation. And there's different tactics on negotiation. We're not going to talk about that right now. But the point is you needed 10. You're going to ask for more, and they're going to come back. And it's going to be less. It's going to be less than what you proposed. But no matter what, you want to ask big and then get what you get. So let's say they approve 10. Boom. You've already got a plan. You've already got it all written out. You take that to your office, and you just finalize it, and then you're good to go. Then, let's just say they did not give you 10. They only gave you 9. Well, that's actually really good. So then you just go in and tweak your numbers so that when you look at your Excel sheet on the bottom, it represents 9. And so, for example, instead of saying $1 for this item, $1 for that item, you're just going to say 90 cents for this item, 90 cents for that item, and it comes down and equals $9. You're following? But even if the board is like, well, we can only give you 5, well, you're going to do the exact same process. Go into your sheet and just adjust the numbers so that you can see. Your vision is the same. Instead of having a $10 vision, you now have a $5 vision. But the point is you get a vision. You might even go through the thing and be like, well, I really still need $1 for this. And I don't really need that. I want that. So you can just decide I'm going to remove that and add this particular item to my surplus pile. And if we have X surplus, I'm going to get it. Or if I make extra on this particular thing, I'm going to get it. For example, one time I planned a trip to Alaska, and I planned for $1,000 to spend on flights. I got each ticket at $600, so I saved buku money, right? I just pushed that surplus into a different category so that we could do something memorable for the team, and that's what we did. Same thing. You might save money somewhere. You might even get a love offering somewhere. You're probably going to end up with a surplus somewhere. Document that and then write it in. Because next year, when you have to write next year's budget, you're going to be like, well, last year that's right, we had a surplus. You're going to have answers to your questions, and it's all in and out and documented. Whew, big deal. All right, so let's recap on this important one. We don't want to survive on no budget. We do not want to do ask and receive budget. We want a board-approved budget. We want to get in, we want to get out, and we want to document all of it. I don't want to ask just for what I need. I want to ask for above and beyond, and then get what I get, and then not have a fit. Are we following? Okay. So now, let's say you're approved, you're good to go, and you spend it all, and you document it, and you get to the end of the year. And you're like, oh, yeah, I have $2 left over, and the boss wants me to use it. Well, that's what the surplus list is for. Your dream big list. At the end of every year, we see a lot of posts. I get a lot of questions and say, hey, Pastor Juan, what do we do with this extra money? I get this from my department leads. I get one department who's budgeted for 700 in the entire year. It's a small department. They only spend like 200 on diapers, so they have like a bunch of money sitting there, and they're like, "What do we do with it? I don't know." And so I had to teach them like, "Hey, what's your vision? What are you dreaming about? What do you really want out of here? Because if you don't spend this, you're gonna lose it. It's not my rule; it's the rule. We don't roll it over. What do you want to do? What's something what headache are you dealing with that you wish you had a solution to? What big ideas are you having that cost something? What vision do you have for the department that's going to be a 2, 3, 4 year thing? Are you tired of a particular problem? What vision can this surplus meet? And that's what you're going to do with your surplus. It doesn't matter how cool all the other youth pastors, kids pastors, and parents are. It doesn't matter what they're getting for their department, because, hey, their vision is not your vision. You want to get something from your surplus that meets your needs. So, dream big. What do you want? What does this surplus meet? It might be easy risers. It might be new chairs. For me, one year, I wanted easy risers. I had a second year, I wanted to get more easy risers. But then my boss threw something on my plate, and then all of a sudden that budget was gone. So I ended up with a mascot that I didn't really want, and no easy risers. For those of you who are asking, easy risers are not stackable, but collapsible benches that are super easy, super light, and even the kids can push around. Just little benches. One year, I had this idea that I wanted to rip out the wall on our stage and build from scratch with my bare hands and a team a hidden backdoor entry with a puppet wall and exit, so that when we got into character, we can just walk out on stage rather than walk out funny from the side of the room. And then we go back behind the wall and exit out the back door that no one could see. And then, Pastor Ron, did you see the character on stage? Oh, yeah, I did. I was back here the whole time. That was an idea we had. That idea cost us $750. It was valued at $3,000 because that's what you would get from a bid from a professional. But since we built it our own, I saved money, blah, 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 yada, yada, a whole thing on the F word, and boom, my surplus took care of that particular want. Yeah. So there you go. You got budgets, you got surplus, and you got yes. But now let's backtrack just a little bit, because some of you are still on this question of how do I make a budget? Because I know it's not as simple as item 1, item 2, item 3, and it's not as simple as every single thing. And here the reality is, I'm not going to give you an answer that's one size fits all. You could post this particular question on Facebook to 3 different groups, and you're going to get 100 different answers from 100 different responders. You're going to want this percentage to this department, this percentage to this item, and it's just not going to work that way. That's just the reality of it. Let's go back to when Mom gave you $10. What did Mom say? She said, don't spend it all in one place. It's the exact same thing. Your boss man says, here's $10. Don't spend it all in one place. It's now on you as a leader, you as a coach, you as a parent, to decide how you want your vision to rock. You get to plan it out. You get to make decisions. You're the leader. I mean, don't get involved with cooking the books. Don't do anything foolish that can get you in big trouble financially. But it's not brain surgery. We just get money, we plan it out, and we document it. Documenting is important for a bunch of reasons. One, it's historical data, but 2, it's just kind of keep you accountable to something rather than nothing. Because when you don't become accountable, it can get you in trouble. But let's just say some of you are really, really struggling with that idea, and I need percentages. Okay, fine. I'll give you a very, very basic, right? I use the 10-10-80. I put 10% in to the kingdom, or tithe. Even in kids ministry, I do this. 10% of our budget goes right back into the idea of giving in back to the kingdom. Now, that might mean we give it to the Lord and we just lose it. But usually what I do is I just use that as fundraisers. I use that to invest. I use that to flip. So if I have $1 out of the 10, I'm going to use that $1 to buy a bunch of candy bars, sell those candy bars, get another $10, and then now I have $9 because one of those I spent. And one of those I'm going to actually just keep it again because I could probably do that again at month 6. But now I have $9 that's going to go towards missions or fundraising or whatever that's specifically for God or tithe. All right, because tithing as a ministry is different than tithing out of your personal income. It's like we just give this back to the church that is giving it to us. It's this whole cycle of confusion. So 10 goes to tithe. Then 10 goes into saving for a rainy day, where I put this aside for contingencies, things I'm not planning for. Like my boss wants a mascot. He's telling me to go get this mascot that I did not plan for. So now I have $1 to go buy a mascot. But the 80 is the big budget. So if you remember earlier, this is like a backwards version of me saying take your $10, multiply it by 10, divide by 80. Well, this time I'm just going to divide by 80 and find the 80%. So if I had $10, I'm actually budgeting the 8. This is big because if you asked for $14 we said earlier, and the board only gave you 9, well, this is actually going to be easy for you because this is 80% of your budget. You have an extra dollar to work with. So this is one way that I do it. This is actually how I do it at home as well. But there's other ways. I mean, there's a bunch of other ways. I know there's ways where your staffing gets 40% and your missions department gets 10% and your curriculum gets 10% and this and that gets that percent. Those percentages can change on a whim. They can change on personality. They can change on the leader. Why? Because it's all about vision. All right, we lead with vision, and the leader can decide the percentages based on the vision. So there you have it. Budgets. What to do with a budget, how to make a budget, and why the budget is important. So if you got questions, hit me up. I'm Ron Gale, and you know where to find me. Until next time, everybody say, bye, Pastor Ron.
Thank you for listening. Smash those like buttons, turn the bells blue, or whatever the kids are doing these days. At the end of the day, our goal is to raise little people to one day become big people. You can find older archived podcasts on our YouTube channel and support what we do at rongaleministries.com. Enjoy!